All right, in this video, we are going to find the x-intercepts or roots of these quadratic functions over here, and we are going to state our final solutions using exact values. Let's start with the first question over here. So normally we would try to find the x-intercepts by factoring in these questions, but we'll notice the same theme in all these questions that we won't be able to find any numbers that multiply to 3 times -8 or add to -6. Essentially, your man method will not work in these questions. So we'll go straight to the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, I'll write it down for this question here, is -b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. So let's start by filling out this formula. Negative of -6 is just positive 6 plus or minus root of -6 squared minus 4 times 3 times -8 divided by 2 times 3. Your a is just your first term, your b is your second term, and your c is your last term. It's just the constants over there. Let's simplify this a bit. So I'll do that in my calculator. And I get a root 132 in here. So now I have to simplify this. In order to simplify it, I need to see whether I can simplify this square root or not. So is 132, is it possible to simplify it? You want to think of this as a multiple of your square root numbers. And I know that 132 can be divided by 4. So I can change this into 4 times 33. And now I can take out the 4. The square root of 4 is just 2. And now I can simplify this a bit further. I can divide all of these 3 numbers by 2. You don't have to worry about the number on the inside, but you got to make sure all 3 numbers on the outside can be divided by the same one. If I divide it by 2, that's just going to turn into a 1, so I don't need to write it anymore. And then this would be my final solution in the most simplified exact form to this question over here. Let's go to the second question. Let's try it for the second question. So again, your man method will not work here. So let's go straight to the quadratic formula. -14 plus or minus root of 14 square minus 4 times -3 times 9 divided by 2 times -3 -14 plus or minus root. Bottom is -6. So I'll do that calculation in my calculator. And I get 304 over here. So again, trying to figure out what number you can divide this by. You want to try numbers like 4, 9, 16, 25, basically any square rootable number. Let me try 4 to begin with. So I can simplify this to 4 times 76. And then I can bring the 4 outside and make it 2 root 76. But now is 76 even more, like, can I simplify that even further? Well, I can divide 76 by 4 again. So I can turn this into 4 times 19. And if I bring this 4 outside, it's another 2. So I'm going to multiply that by this 2, which is -14 plus or minus 4 root 19 over -6. And now we can simplify these. We can divide all these numbers by 2, or we can also divide them by -2 as well. Since this is a plus or minus sign, it won't be affected at all. And these two negatives I can get rid of. Technically, even if I don't divide this by -2, I'll show an example later. I could simplify it, but in this case, let me divide it all by -2. So this just turns into this as my final solution. 7 plus or minus 2 root 19 divided by, oops, I don't know why I wrote 13. That's a 3. But what I was saying was that let's say you have -8 plus or minus 5 root 7 over -3. You can't really divide all of these by the same number, but you can still divide them all by -1 and get rid of these two negative signs. So a simplified way to write this would just be like this over here, dividing everything by -1. Again, this is not related to the question above, just made a random example here to show how you can divide by -1 in all three terms if you have a plus or minus sign and it does not affect this because technically that is both signs. Let's go to the third and final example over here. Now, you could do the quadratic formula on this straight away, but what we notice is we can actually common factor out a -5 in this question. And then we can do quadratic formula on the inside, which would be much easier to simplify at the end. But if you didn't common factor here, you would still get the same solution. You would just make sure to have to do your simplification steps at the end. Let me do that in my calculator. Get 8. So now I can simplify the 8 to 4 times 2. 2 to 4 is 2. And now I can divide all these three numbers by 2. So that's just 1 plus or minus. I don't need to write the 1 there, √2. And if I have a 1 on the bottom, I don't need to write a 1 on the bottom either. So final solution for this one is just 1 plus or minus √2. If you made it to the end of this video and you found this content helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.